Tracking, alerting, protecting. This is WKYT News at 4.
We're learning more about an elderly man found dead in his driveway in eastern Kentucky. What police have to say about his murder.
It's a soggy start to the weekend. A lot of showers throughout central and eastern Kentucky, and we'll talk about more of the same straight ahead.
And a big weekend for the Big Blue Nation. The Wildcats are coming off that huge win at Commonwealth Stadium. And Coach John Calipari and the Cats are doing something that's never been done before in college basketball. KSR's Matt Jones joins me a little later. Welcome to WKYT News at 4. I'm Jennifer Palumbo. The week is ending how it started, with rain across the region. So how's it looking for high school football and UK's game tomorrow? Chief Meteorologist Chris Bailey has a first look at the forecast. Chris?
Yeah, we have a lot of those showers, Jennifer, that we've been advertising for a while now on the scene. And unfortunately, that doesn't spell very good news for folks who are out on a Friday evening. And speaking of football, heading to those high school football games that are just a couple of hours away from kicking off. Our live sky cam, you just look at that, and it pretty much tells the weather story. It's dreary. We have the occasional raindrops that are coming down throughout the region. The rains are actually going to continue to increase as we go into the evening. Even where a defender isn't picking up on a lot of the droplets, we're getting in on a little bit of misty shower action that will be noted throughout the region. From Moorhead back to the west through Owingsville, Mount Sterling into the Lexington metro, those scattered showers, a little heavier shower now in 460 between Georgetown and Paris. Everything coming at us from west to east, a little bit of a northeastward component to those showers and storms here across the Volunteer State. That may impact areas of south central and southeastern Kentucky over the next little bit, but we do have a front that is right on top of the area with that wave of low pressure that will continue to make its way through the region. Additional showers are back to the west, though, Jennifer, coming up, we'll talk about the potential for a little break in the action as we go to an important part of our Saturday. That's just ahead.
Police want to know how an elderly man ended up dead outside his eastern Kentucky home. Kentucky State Police found 82-year-old Lloyd Souders yesterday in the driveway of his Moorhead home. They've ruled his death a murder, but so far, no arrests have been made. WKYT's Victor Puente has the latest from Rowan County on the search for Souders' killer. It's our top story at 4.
Of all the questions surrounding the death of this 82-year-old man, the most important one is who is responsible. Kentucky State Police say they're investigating the death of Lloyd Souders as a murder. A friend found him dead in the driveway of his home Thursday. Police say that friend had come to check on him. This morning, State Police told me they don't have any new information to release regarding the case. They haven't named any suspects or a motive. A neighbor of Souders told us he lived alone. He couldn't understand why anyone would do this.
He was a gentle old man, 82 years old, healthy. From what I understand, just a pretty good all-around guy. You know, no enemies.
Rowan County Coroner John Northcutt was at the state medical examiner's office this morning. That's where Souders' body had been taken for an autopsy. Northcutt told me the cause of death for the elderly man was multiple sharp and blunt force injuries. In Rowan County, Victor Puente, WKYT.
The coroner also tells us Souders' daughter and 2 sons live out of state and are on their way to Kentucky. Another major data breach involving credit cards, and this one affects dozens of fast food restaurants in Kentucky. Dairy Queen says nearly 400 restaurants nationwide have been hacked since August, affecting about 600,000 credit cards. That includes 52 locations in Kentucky, 3 here in Lexington. The Wall Street Journal reports back-off malware gave hackers access to customers' names, card numbers, and expiration dates. You can find a full list of the affected Dairy Queens on WKYT.com. We're working on a number of other stories for WKYT starting at 4:30. WKYT's Amber Philpott is in the newsroom with a look at some of the news in progress. Hi, Amber.
Hi, Jennifer. We are tracking a crime alert after an armed robbery on the UK campus. UK police say 2 men robbed 2 students at gunpoint and fired a shot. It happened about 11:30 at the intersection of Pennsylvania and Columbia Avenues. Police say there were no injuries in the robbery, but an alert was issued last night warning students to avoid that area. Police have caught a 13-year-old boy, they say, stole not one but two tanker trucks last night. Deputies say the teenager first stole a tanker truck in Clark County, drove it to Madison County, and abandoned it. A little later, police say he stole another tanker truck at a gas station in Madison County. The 13-year-old has been charged with receiving stolen property. Coming up on WKYT News at 5, you'll hear from a semi-truck driver on how difficult those trucks are to drive. And Kentucky State Police tell us they are trying to track down a Bath County woman this afternoon. 33-year-old Norma Jo Brown of Salt Lick was first reported missing last Thursday. Troopers say she is 5'1" with brown eyes, and she typically wears glasses. If anyone knows where Brown might be, you're asked to call Kentucky State Police. Brown was last seen in Salt Lick. We'll have an update on the investigation coming up for you on WKYT News at 4:30. Jennifer, that is a look at just some of the news that's in progress. Back to you.
Thanks, Amber. Now to stories making headlines across the nation at 4. Just days after the death of the first Ebola patient diagnosed in the U.S., a congressional hearing in Dallas is looking at the response to the Ebola virus. Medical records provided to the Associated Press show the man who died from Ebola in Dallas was sent home from the emergency room after his temperature spiked to 103 degrees. Thomas Duncan also had other symptoms consistent with Ebola and had told a nurse that he'd recently been in Africa. He was admitted to the hospital 2 days later after his condition worsened. His family provided Duncan's medical records to the AP. Today is day 28 of the manhunt for suspected cop killer Eric Freen. Adriana Diaz is in Cresco, Pennsylvania, where police continue to search, and Freen remains at large.
Emil Rolando lives in the 5-mile square search area in the Pocono Mountains, where police believe Eric Freen is hiding.
Yeah, it feels like a war zone. You know, they've walked through every inch of this woods 3 or 4 times with dogs, guns.
Locals like Rolando have lived with tanks, bomb-sniffing dogs, and armed police for the last month. In that time, the FBI says Freen may have grown a beard or a mohawk to disguise his identity. In the past week, at least 4 people say they saw him from a distance. Search teams also found 3 of Freen's campsites, and in them 2 pipe bombs and a journal. Police shared what appears to be a first-person account of Freen's ambush September 12th.
Got a shot around 11 p.m. and took it. He dropped. I was surprised at how quick.
The victims were Corporal Byron Dixon, who died at the scene, and Trooper Alex Douglas, who was severely injured. Thank you so much. To raise money for the victims' families, a group of state trooper wives are selling T-shirts.
We're worried about our husbands and their safety, and if they're going to come home to us, because it's not over.
They hope their show of support will bring some comfort to a community still grieving and still waiting for answers. Adriana Diaz, CBS News, Cresco, Pennsylvania.
This week, authorities filed more charges against Freen, 2 counts of possession of weapons of mass destruction for the pipe bombs they discovered at his campsite. It's official, Cabela's is coming to Kentucky. We'll have details about a zoning change next in WKYT Money Watch.